Flight 229, you're clear for takeoff.
Just like a flight plan, you have to know where you're going and how you will get there when you plan for retirement. Let Ryan Fleming help you chart out a course for your retirement with his intimate knowledge of financial planning and the airline industry. It's time for the Pilot's Advisor.
Rocking and a-rolling once again here on the Pilot's Advisor. Walter Storholt here with Ryan Fleming, financial advisor at Fleming Financial Group. Find us online at FlemingFG.com. Thought I was about to break out into the Fonz there for a minute, into song, a rockin' and a roll and all, but
song stuck in your head there this morning, huh?
Apparently, I don't know where that came from, but some synapse fired, and here we are. So.
Well, you're having more fun than I am.
Poor guy. Ryan's recording today's show, and for those who are listening, you may be hearing this show actually a few months after it was recorded, because we stockpiled a few shows in a recording session while Ryan had some time at home, because he was likely going to be traveling, at different points and times of the year. And so when he can't record, we play old shows. Well, not old shows, just previously recorded material. Giving you a peek behind the scenes here, behind the curtain a little bit. So at the moment of this recording, Ryan's going through some various surgeries and whatnot on his legs and knees and backs and all those kinds of things. Well, I guess you just have one back, but in any event. And Ryan, you're recording today's episode, I understand, actually like chilling in a lounge chair, in a recliner?
Yeah, normally, I record the podcast. I'm set up on my desk, which is kind of like a high-top desk.
Yeah,
and got everything I need.
Like a professional.
Yeah, like a real professional would do. Well, I just had a knee replaced, and I have some back issues as well. So I'm just lounging today and a lazy boy trying to do the show and trying to deal with the post-traumatic issues of a knee surgery. So if I say some crazy things on today's show, it's because I'm going through a crazy time of my life right now.
I've got the edit button to keep you under control, so no worries on that. I have a couch not too far from where I am sitting currently here in my office. If only my microphone, if it's secured to the desk, if only I had a more mobile microphone, I could go lay back on the couch and we could just do a very laid-back episode of the show. But
counseling session almost.
It'd be like a counseling session, but unfortunately the microphone is pretty solidly clamped to the desk, and so...
Well, maybe you need to reevaluate your priorities there, Walter.
That's true. I wonder what would happen if I started hosting all of my shows laying down. It'd probably be a much slower-paced show all of a sudden. Too funny. Well, thank you for pressing on, despite all that you have going on, and still giving us some great information to go off of, and some good discussions here. And hey, if you're kind of laid up with nothing else to do, might as well be chatting with me and talking about podcasts and stuff like that. So,
well, in all actuality, it's been very, very good for my business because, before I was out on the road, seeing clients or new prospects flying around the world. But it's really given me time to, reach out and really talk to some of my clients while they're at home and they have time and get caught up on some things. So just, digging back into that book of business and building some of those relationships has been really awesome. And I've enjoyed that aspect of being home and not in different time zones all the time. And it's been really good for the business.
That's a great point, Ryan. Well, today's show, we're going to be talking about the financial world's dirty little secrets, and we're going to try and reveal them on today's show. This is really what Ryan's been up to with all this time off. He's been discovering all of the financial world secrets and plotting how to destroy them. No, these are good things, though, that are little secrets in the financial world, and I think if you can kind of see through these things, it'll help you cut through the clutter and focus on what's most important about financial and retirement planning. So we're going to reveal some of those secrets on today's episode. Ryan, the first one's a little scary. Most of the time, nobody really knows what's going on. Is that really true?
It really is. And, I like to think that this is what really changed me in this business. I used to watch MSNBC or Fox Business and listen to all these pundits talk about what was going on, what was going to happen in the market. And after being in the business for a few years, you really realize that nobody has a clue what's going on. They're all trying to make predictions about the future. And I kind of talk about this once I really found the academic approach to investing, where we weren't speculating and gambling with people's money. We weren't trying to predict the future or stock pick. And it's true. we know that nobody can predict the future, and most financial professionals that are trying to do that are speculating and gambling with your money. And they might have a tough time explaining why what they thought was going to happen didn't happen. There's always some compelling narrative to explain a movement in the financial market. It's kind of like the Monday morning quarterback. Well, obviously this happened because this happened. And then the pundit goes on to explain what's going to happen after that. But the truth is, it's really hard to pinpoint real cause and effects because market movements have so many different variables out there that it's really never one or two things. And at the same time, we're looking at a global marketplace now. So if you're trying to predict the future on something that is totally unpredictable, it's a loser's game.
So there's a lot more guessing than we realize maybe from the pundits.
Oh, absolutely. I think that, like Kramer's a very well-known one that's on Mad Money, which I used to watch that show, 7 years ago or more, thinking that I was going to learn something from it. And I would argue that Kramer has probably ruined more lives than he's helped by his stock picks and his adamant, get out of the market now, buy this now. Because if you go back and do a track record on Kramer and some of his predictions, because we've actually done that, and it's really, really bad. Really bad advice.
Yeah, a period of time that's been studied a lot. He picked a lot of losers that didn't do very well.
Well, and I think financial professionals or pundits on TV do a great job of convincing others or themselves that they understand all of what's going on and where the market's going to go, and might have a somewhat legitimate explanation now, but there's no way for them to know what's going to happen in the future.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Ryan. That's, again, the first dirty little secret of the financial world. Most of the time, nobody really knows what's going on. And kind of in a similar vein, this is a little bit different direction, but I think similar concept. Dirty little secret number 2, most of the things that we argue about really aren't all that important.
Yeah, when I think about that, I think about volatility. Like, leading up to, let's say, this presidential election, so many people were so concerned about what was going to happen in the market. And, so I went back and looked at every single election over the past, 60, 80 years and how it, long-term affects the market. And what we found was that it's only short-term volatility. So the news today might have some short-term effects on the market, but over the long term, and we're even talking 60, 90 days, it doesn't have any effect whatsoever. So we could spend all day debating with, other financial professionals about where things are going to go or what's going to happen on a day-to-day basis with what the market's doing. But it's only little speed bumps in the grand scheme of things.
I know there's got to be something that you and other pilots argue, like you guys probably argue about things or debate, if argue is too strong of a word, things about being a pilot and the industries and all those kinds of things. But you probably all pretty much agree on some of the core basics of flying an airplane and how to get from destination A to destination B. Perhaps methodology or some of the little minutia and small stuff you argue over. But in the grand scheme of things, you're in agreement on how to get the plane safely to the destination.
I would mostly agree with that, but pilots are pretty good about arguing about nothing.
That's good. What's one of the dumbest arguments you've gotten into with another pilot about something related in the pilot industry?
Well, I try not to do that, but I think it's actually a good thing. Like, you might be at cruise and we'll be looking at, the computer that we call it the box, where we're kind of looking at analyzing winds at different levels, or how to most efficiently fly an airplane, whether that's in cruise or in descent. And so sometimes you'll have conversations with another pilot, and it'll actually be a kind of a knowledge session for both of you, because sometimes different perspectives can teach you things.
Oh, and that word perspective again.
Yes, I love that word. And and it kind of comes back with the financial side of it. I think most people don't know what they don't know, and that's a very scary thing, because there's so many things out there that you don't know, and if you never really listened or tried to learn, it can open up a whole new perspective for you from an investment side, or even flying an airplane and say, oh, I never really thought about it that way, or I never really looked at that, which might be a much more efficient way of flying the airplane, or a much easier way to fly the airplane.
So don't get hung up on the nitpicky arguments between two professionals. Instead, figure out how to learn something from one another, from the experience and the perspective that does matter, the more important stuff. Good to keep in mind.
And I don't know how we got pushed a little bit more towards the flying thing, but another way to look at that is these airplanes have gotten more and more technologically advanced as we moved on. So you got, say, the old captain that's been flying for 40 years. He has so many amazing experiences flying. He's got a ton of experience. But you might have the young pilot that knows how to work the technology a little bit better in the airplane. So they both have something to learn from each other.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's kind of like, here's how we used to do things, and these are useful skills, but we've made it easier in the last 30 years by doing it this way. And then there is a marriage of the two ways of doing things and of the knowledge. Yeah,
and so they both have something to take away from each other, so that if they can meet in the middle and be open-minded, you can really better yourself. And I've found this in the financial world where, a lot of very successful financial advisors that are older, quite a bit older than me, have built businesses, but this industry's evolved quite a bit. Technology has changed the financial landscape. And so, being a little bit more technologically advanced or a little bit more understanding automation, I feel like I have things to offer to a more senior advisor, but they also have experiences that they can give back to me.
Have you ever wanted to learn more about the academic approach to investing and saving and planning for retirement that Ryan talks about here on The Pilot's Advisor? Well, if so, go visit pilotsadvisor.com. pilotsadvisor.com. You can watch a quick webinar on the academic approach to investing. It'll show you how not to speculate and gamble with your money. It's all based on Nobel Prize winning research. Only takes about 10 minutes to get through the video and watch it. Going to be worth your time, I promise you. Go check it out right now, pilotsadvisor.com. It's a webinar that covers that academic approach to investing. pilotsadvisor.com. All right, back to the show. Here's another one, Ryan. Sometimes it's difficult to differentiate between skill and luck.
What do you think about that one, Walter?
I'm going to say that doesn't have as much of a connection to the pilot world, because I'm really hoping that skill and not luck is getting us, for the most part, from destination A to destination B. But I think in the financial world, yeah, I think it goes back to kind of what you were talking about a little bit earlier, like how, you could throw darts at a dartboard and perhaps, outpick Kramer, that kind of thing on certain stock picks and that sort of thing. So, yeah, that seems like there's a lot more luck involved on the financial side.
Well, I'm still laughing. It's difficult to differentiate between skill and luck, and I'm thinking about landing an airplane. And they say sometimes it's better to be lucky than good.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Because you could be coming in for a landing and it's looking like a little hairy all there of a sudden, and then save it right at the end, But anyway,
they call that's just instinct, Ryan. That's instinct.
Yeah. But no, most pilots have enough skill to get the airplane on the ground. So I don't want you to freak out. But no, I think this is very relevant because we study, investor behavior, and of course I analyze pilots' behavior quite a bit in the invested world. And they're huge stock pickers. They're type A personality. They have there's a recency bias all the time. If they pick this biotech and it's done very well, suddenly once again they're the best stock picker in the world, even though they don't want to talk about all the times where they really hurt themselves stock picking. And of course, there's a herding effect too. Like right now, many people are stock picking because of what's been going on in the market.
Yeah.
So I don't know. In most cases, when a specific investment turns out well, it's virtually impossible to tell them that, they're not exceedingly wise or, that they have this great skill of stocks, picking stocks, rather than maybe just being lucky.
Yeah. Well, and it also goes both ways in terms of people picking and choosing which to blame or which to claim when it comes to their fortune. Hey, I got these huge returns in the market. I'm really good. That's my skill. I'm really good at picking these things. And then when they, have losses, it's not their lack of skill. It's bad luck. I had bad luck. So they blame the luck, but then they claim the skill when things go well.
Exactly. And I think that, when I first got into this business, I saw a lot of advisors that were trying to time the market and stock pick and beat the market in that way. And most of them don't. And so what I've learned is the real way to invest your money is from an academic perspective. And so the lesson to be learned here is that be very careful if you're working with an advisor out there that hangs their hat on a very specific successful investment that they picked correctly in the past or that they think is going to be the stock to own in the future, because the reality is they have no way of knowing. And you don't know if it was luck or not. I mean, you can look at a track record of a stock or a mutual fund, and that doesn't determine at all where it's going to go in the future. And I saw this a lot this year where we have people that are chasing returns. They wanted to take a large portion of their investments and move it to this mutual fund that's done really, really great over the past year. Well, as soon as they move their stuff over, those mutual funds crashed and they lost half their money. So I would focus instead on finding someone that has a common sense approach that's not trying to predict or be lucky with your money. And what I talk about with many of my clients or prospects is don't speculate and gamble with your money. Take a very common sense approach where you're hitting singles and doubles consistently versus swinging for the fences where, you might get a home run, but you also might strike out.
Well, hey there. We hope you're enjoying listening to the Pilot's Advisor today. Just wanted to take a quick moment from the show to remind you that if you have any questions ever about what Ryan talks about on the program, need any assistance with your financial planning, need some guidance to get to and through retirement, or whatever financial questions might be on your mind, don't ever hesitate to reach out. The simple way to get in touch with Ryan is to pick up the phone and call or text 843-475-3038. Again, that's 843-475-3038. You can also find Ryan online at FlemingFG.com. That's FlemingFG.com. And as always, we put contact information to get in touch with Ryan in the description or the show notes section of the program. So just check it out on whatever app you're using, and it's easy to get in touch with Ryan. All right, now back to the show. All right, one more example, and this one is good to remember not only from the financial realm, but in all things life and media, and where the two mix. The bolder the opinion, the more people pay attention to it. If we can all remember that when we're watching things happen in the news and the media, we'll be able to kind of better see through some of the BS that gets thrown our way.
Well, whoever can beat their chest harder or talk the loudest is the one that knows what's going on, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he who is loudest, I'll listen to.
Well, and there's an individual by the name of Mark Mattson who I think really takes an academic approach to investing. And one of the comments he makes, because too many people don't say, I don't know. I don't know is one of the least used phrases in the financial industry, but it's normally the correct one. And what he says is he goes, I have no clue if the market's going to go up or down. No clue. I don't know if the next 20% is going to be up or down. I have absolutely no clue. But what I do know is the next 100% is going to be up. And the reason why I know that is because it's always been up throughout history. And I think that perspective of taking the long-term approach in investing is powerful. Like, we have no control of what the market's going to do today, tomorrow, next week. But over the long term, we know that the market's going to go up because it always has.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And yet that doesn't get promoted as heavily as a bolder, more inflammatory position on, something in the financial realm or other topic.
Yeah, and I would end this with, sometimes what is the best thing for you and from an investment perspective is not the sexy thing. It's not the glamorous, I'm getting this stock and I, earned 120% in 6 months. It's the tortoise in the hare kind of aspect, slow and steady is good. And reducing that volatility and consistently getting conservative gains is going to help you win in the long term.
Slow and steady wins the race, says the man chilling back in the recliner to record today's show. I like it. You're embracing your new life mode and status for at least a couple of weeks here, Ryan. That's great to see.
Well, I don't even know where I am, so hopefully I didn't say anything too crazy on today's show. I apologize for that.
No, you're in good shape. You're in good shape, man. No worries at all. Thank you despite all that you have going on, good level-headed advice and guidance on the show today. You actually provided, I think, some really good material and food for thought here. So if you agree and would like to meet with Ryan, I guarantee you by the time you're hearing this, Ryan is coherent and very much back in shape and rocking and rolling again. So that is the good news. So if you want to have a conversation about your financial life, about your plan, about what's going on in your world and how you can better prepare for the future, feel free to reach out. You can call or text Ryan at any time, 843-475-3038. That's 843-475-3038. Or you can go online to FlemingFG.com. That's FlemingFG.com. And we'll put the contact info in the description of today's show. Ryan, thanks for being such a good sport and for joining us on the show today. And we'll be looking forward to talking to you soon.
I appreciate you limping me along there, Walter. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.
You got it. That's Ryan. I'm Walter. We'll talk to you next time right back here on The Pilot's Advisor. You've been listening to The Pilot's Advisor, featuring Ryan Fleming, a financial advisor at Fleming Financial Group, serving clients worldwide, but based out of Charleston, South Carolina. If you have any questions for Ryan on what we've talked about on today's show, maybe a future topic idea, or want to talk more about getting a complimentary review of your financial plan, here's the best ways to get in touch. You can go online to the website FlemingFG.com. That's FlemingFG.com. You can also email Ryan. It's simply Ryan@FlemingFG.com. Or you can call or text to get in touch. 843-475-3038 is the number. That's 843-475-3038. Thanks for listening to The Pilot's Advisor, and don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcasting apps. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, and many more locations. So whatever app you like to use, search for The Pilot's Advisor podcast today and subscribe so you never miss an episode.
Information is for illustrative purposes only and does not constitute tax, investment, or legal advice. Always consult with a qualified investment, legal, or tax professional before taking any action.